Modern dating has a brutal truth. The harder you try, the faster she loses interest. Not because women hate effort, but because they can feel when it comes from fear instead of power. Here's your mirror. Every time you overtext, overprove, overgive, her brain reads one thing. He needs me more than I need him. And desire dies on the spot. And here's the promise. Sharp, simple, undeniable. In this video, you'll learn the principle of reversed effort. The Machiavellian and neuroscience-backed rule showing why doing less pulls her closer, and why the man who moves the least often creates the strongest gravity. If you're ready to shift from chasing women to attracting them naturally, comment, "I'm ready to change." Because once you understand this law, you'll never look at effort or attraction the same way again. Here's the first step you must absolutely understand if you want the principle of reversed effort to work. When you try too hard, you don't look devoted. You look powerless. A woman doesn't lose attraction because you're kind, respectful, or attentive. She loses attraction because your effort reveals your position in the dynamic. In her nervous system, effort is not interpreted as care. Effort is interpreted as pressure, need, and worst of all, lack of options. A woman's primal brain is scanning one thing above all. Which man is calm enough to be desired, without needing desire in return? This is the moment everything changes. Not because she's manipulative, but because biology never lies. Let's make this brutally visual. Imagine you meet a woman you instantly like. You start double texting. You over-explain your intentions. You respond instantly every time. You offer solutions she didn't ask for. You try to impress her with effort instead of presence. Your intention is pure, but your energy screams one thing: please choose me. Now picture another man, same woman, same moment. He listens more than he speaks. He doesn't rush. His messages are simple, light, and spaced. He enjoys her presence but isn't pulled by it. He's not cold, he's centered. His energy communicates, "I like you, but I don't need you." Which one activates desire? Which one triggers her feminine polarity? Which one awakens her curiosity, her imagination, her instinct to pursue? Every viewer knows the answer, and here's where the truth turns darker. A woman's desire doesn't rise because of your effort. It rises because of her own effort. Every time you overgive, over-explain, over-chase, you rob her of the one thing that creates real attraction: the emotional tension born from not being able to predict you. Machiavelli would have whispered in your ear, "People are drawn not to what is given freely, but to what demands their courage." He wasn't speaking of dating, yet nature makes it fit perfectly. Humans value what they must reach for, and they forget what reaches too easily for them. Let's deepen this with two scenarios. Relationship example. You try to prove you're not like her ex. You give reassurance after reassurance, you do everything to show you're stable. But instead of calming her, you overwhelm her. Her instinct says, "If he's this eager to keep me, he must be afraid of losing me." That fear makes her pull back. Not because she wants distance, but because she feels the imbalance of power. Social professional example. A colleague always steps in to help before being asked. Common sense says people should appreciate it. In reality, they start to value him less because he is too available. Meanwhile, the colleague who chooses carefully when to help is considered more competent, more respected, more desired. The dynamic is identical in dating. The more effort you pour into someone who hasn't earned it, the more their brain classifies you as lower value. And here's the mini conclusion that should echo in your mind. Effort without equilibrium destroys attraction. Presence without pressure creates it now. The only question left is this: if effort neutralizes desire, what creates it? And that's where the next truth changes everything. Here's the second rule you must absolutely understand. Desire is a chemical reaction. and effort neutralizes the chemical that makes her crave you. Not metaphorically, literally. When a man tries too hard, her brain releases cortisol, the stress hormone linked to pressure, threat, and emotional overload. But when a man moves through the world with ease, grounding, and low effort, her brain shifts into producing a cocktail of dopamine, oxytocin, and vasopressin, the exact neurochemical triad associated with motivation, bonding, and romantic fixation. This is the real reason putting in less effort pulls her in. It's not magic, it's biology. Her brain is constantly scanning. Does this man require effort from me, or does being around him feel naturally rewarding? If you force impression, validation, or intensity, her nervous system interprets you as pressure. If you stand still in your energy and move at your own rhythm, her nervous system interprets you as reward. This is why the same woman who ignores a man who tries will reorganize her entire schedule for a man who isn't even thinking about her. It's not games. It's neurochemistry. Think of it this way. When a man overinvests emotionally too early, he creates a predictable dopamine pattern, and predictable dopamine drops rapidly. But when a man shows interest without urgency, presence without dependence, attention without attachment, her brain enters what neuroscientists call variable reward mode, the same mechanism that makes people glued to a screen, waiting for the next notification. Machiavelli would have whispered in your ear, "A prince loses power the moment he becomes too available." He didn't know dopamine. He simply observed humans long enough to understand how scarcity manipulates desire. To anchor this in the real world, picture this. A man overtexts a woman he likes. Long paragraphs, fast replies, constant attention. Every time her phone lights up, her brain releases less dopamine than before. Eventually, her mind classifies him as background noise. But another man texts with calm energy, with intention, not urgency. Sometimes he's slow to reply because he's absorbed in his mission. Sometimes he sends something thoughtful, sometimes playful, sometimes nothing. Her brain cannot map the pattern, so dopamine spikes each time, pulling her toward him even when he's silent. Or imagine this socially. A man tries to impress a group, loud, animated, performing. People smile, but forget him 2 minutes later. Another man speaks less, chooses his words slowly, stands relaxed in the room. No performance, just presence. People lean in. Their nervous systems feel the difference instantly. Effort repels. Ease attracts. Here's the conclusion you weren't expecting. The less effort you place on her, the more effort her brain will place on you. And here's what Machiavelli would advise in this moment. Withdraw your need to be chosen, and you force the world to choose you. Here's your next solution. From today on, stop feeding her nervous system excess stimulation. Move slower, speak less, respond without urgency. Choose your actions with intention, not desperation. Give her brain the space to release dopamine because of you, not cortisol because of your pressure. If you can do this consistently, her mind won't just want you. It will start craving you automatically, long before she understands why. Here's the third step you must absolutely understand if you want the principle of reversed effort to work in your favor. Desire does not grow in certainty. It grows in uncertainty. A woman's mind becomes addicted not to what she fully understands, but to the parts of you she can't decode. This is where controlled unpredictability becomes your greatest weapon. When your presence feels slightly unpredictable, her attention switches into hyper-focus mode. Her brain begins scanning your micro-behaviors, your tone, your timing, looking for patterns that aren't there. And every time the pattern slips out of her hands, attraction spikes. Why? Because the human brain is designed to chase what it cannot fully solve. Imagine this. One day you're fully present, speaking with intention. The next day you're busy working on your goals, not cold, not distant, simply absorbed in your mission. That shift creates mental friction inside her. She begins to ask herself, why does he feel different today? What's going on in his world? Why do I want another moment with him? And this is where Machiavelli would have whispered a brutal truth into your ear. Never let your intentions be fully readable. Familiarity destroys influence. Uncertainty multiplies it. Machiavelli understood that predictability neutralizes power. A ruler who is too easy to read loses leverage. A man who is too easy to read loses attraction. The same law applies. To make this real, picture two scenarios. Scenario A. You text her every morning at the exact same time her brain stops reacting. You become routine, background noise. Scenario B. Some mornings you text early because you felt inspired. Other mornings you text later because you were locked into your work, and sometimes you don't text until she reaches out first. Now her brain is alert. She wonders when, how, and in what tone you'll appear. That anticipation keeps her attention hooked. Or consider this moment. You're having a deep, flowing conversation one evening. Then, once the emotional high is reached, you end the call first. You don't drag it. You don't overstay the moment. You leave the peak unresolved. Her brain doesn't close the loop. It lingers on you, replaying the call long after it ended. Every time you leave a moment slightly open, you teach her mind to follow you. Not because you chase, but because you stop giving completion. Now here's a more visual example. You're sitting together during a cafe date. You're calm, centered, listening deeply. Then she makes a comment, and you give a subtle smile, not a big one, just enough for her to wonder what the smile meant. That tiny ambiguity creates a spark her brain tries to decode for days. This is controlled unpredictability in its purest form. It's not chaos, it's not manipulation. It's subtle variation that creates psychological gravity. Controlled unpredictability only works when your core energy stays stable, grounded, masculine, calm. Your unpredictability is in your timing, not your character. In your rhythm, not your behavior. It's the difference between mystery and confusion. Confusion pushes women away. Mystery pulls them closer. And here's the final crucial point. Unpredictability is not about doing less. It's about revealing less. The less she can fully read you, the more her imagination works overtime, and imagination is 10 times more powerful than any effort you could ever make. That is the law. That is the hook. That is why her mind begins orbiting around you without you lifting a finger. Here's the fourth step you must absolutely understand if you want the principle of reversed effort to reshape your dating life forever. A woman's attraction is not decided by logic. It is triggered by biological polarity. The more you lean back into your natural masculine stillness, the more her body leans forward into attraction. Effort does not create polarity. Energy does. Let's cut to the truth. A woman is not drawn to a man who floods her with validation. She is drawn to the man whose presence feels stable, centered, and unmoved. The man who does not scramble, over-explain, or chase. Why? Because her nervous system is wired to respond to masculine calm, the same way fire responds to oxygen. It expands toward it. Machiavelli would have whispered in your ear, "Power belongs to the one who remains composed when others chase certainty." His message to you? Your calm is your leverage. Your restraint is your magnetism. Let's go deeper, because this law is biological, not philosophical. When a man leans in too much, texts too much, compliments too much, reacts too fast, his testosterone drops. His energy becomes soft, compliant, eager. Nothing kills polarity faster than that shift. Her body feels it before her mind does. She feels no tension, no intrigue, no gravitational pull. But when you do less, when your energy withdraws into purpose rather than into her approval, something incredible happens inside her biology. Her estradiol rises. the hormone linked to female sexual interest. Her dopamine spikes because your presence is not guaranteed. Her oxytocin increases when you finally give attention, because scarcity amplifies bonding. You become a rare stimulus, and the brain always values rarity over consistency. Let me paint this with visuals so you feel how primal it is. Example 1. Early dating. She texts you a playful, "What are you doing?" Most men drop everything to reply instantly. But you? You're in your flow. Maybe at the gym, maybe in deep work. You respond later, calmly, without urgency. She feels something shift, your silence becomes charged. Her body interprets it as, "This man has a world, he belongs to himself." That is polarity. Example 2. In-person interaction. You're talking to her during a date. Most men lean forward, elbows on the table, chasing her reactions with their body language. You, instead, sit back, chest open, shoulders relaxed, eyes steady. You let her lean in, you let her close the distance. In that moment, her nervous system labels you as the pole, the gravitational center. She doesn't feel pursued. She feels pulled. The less you chase her approval, the more she feels the instinct to chase your presence. Not because you are cold, but because your grounded masculinity creates the space for her feminine energy to expand. This is the paradox every high-value man eventually masters. Doing less does not reduce desire. It activates it. It speaks directly to her instincts, bypassing logic completely. And here's the most brutal truth you must absorb. When you over-effort, she feels nothing. When you under-effort with purpose, she feels everything. Here's the 5th step you must absolutely understand. The psychological trap that pulls her back to you harder than compliments, effort, or emotional chasing ever will. The power of the incomplete moment. The Zeigarnik effect is simple on paper, but devastating in romance. The human brain is obsessed with unfinished experiences. It replays them, it analyzes them. It fills in the silence with imagination. And imagination is always more powerful than reality. Machiavelli would have warned you with a cold smile. Control the mind, not by what you say, but by what you leave unsaid. Now watch how this plays out in real life. Picture this. You're on a date. Most men try to stretch the night, extend the conversation, keep her attention as long as possible. But you do the opposite. The connection is warm, the tension is real. And instead of dragging it out, you end it first. You stand, and with calm confidence you say, "We'll continue this another time." Then you walk away. In her mind, something detonates. The interaction didn't peak. It didn't resolve. It didn't close. And because of that, her brain stays hooked, like a song that ended on the wrong chord. Now take another example, more intimate. You're at her place. The tension is rising. She expects you to collapse into desire. Most men would, but you stop halfway, look at her, hold her chin lightly, and say, "Not tonight." And you leave. She won't sleep, not because she's confused, but because her body just experienced emotional whiplash. The door opened, but you didn't step through. That single act of restraint implants you deeper into her nervous system than hours of physical attention ever could. You become unforgettable, not through completion, but through interruption. Not through certainty, but through unanswered tension. And now let's go even deeper. Something we have never touched anywhere in this conversation. A woman's imagination is her strongest amplifier of desire. When you do less, she fills the empty space with her own fantasies. But here's the twist almost no one knows. Her fantasies are always stronger than anything you could have done because her brain chooses the version of you that excites her the most. Another vivid example. You send her a voice note. Short, slow, calm. But you stop your sentence midway, not by accident. You let the thought hang. You say, I'll tell you the rest later. And you don't send anything else for hours. She listens to that message 3, 4, 10 times. The pause drives her crazy. Not what you said, but everything you didn't say. Machiavelli would have advised you like a conspirator. The mind obeys the shadows more than it obeys the light. This is the essence of reversed effort. You don't chase, you don't over-explain. You don't finish the story. You leave the door open, just enough for her desire to crawl through on its own. In the end, everything you've learned in this video comes down to one truth. Women don't fall for the man who tries the hardest. They fall for the man who stands the strongest. Because effort is noise, but presence is gravity. And when your energy becomes something she can feel, not something you force, she will move toward you without even knowing why. Remember this, a man who gives less out of fear becomes forgettable. But a man who gives less because he is anchored in purpose becomes unforgettable. That is the difference. That is the power. So let today be the moment you stop chasing, stop overperforming, stop bending yourself into shapes just to be chosen. Instead, become the man whose stillness creates tension, whose restraint creates desire, and whose absence echoes louder than another man's presence. Because the day you master reversed effort is the day women start feeling you, craving you, and remembering you, long after the moment has passed. If this opened your eyes and you're serious about becoming the man who's in full control of his life, my book is now available. The Undeniable Man, Built to be Chosen. It's a strategic guide for men who want to attract, lead, and dominate in their love life and beyond. Whether you're single or in a relationship, no fluff, no tricks, just pure, powerful strategy that will set you apart from 99% of men, and that you will actually use every day. The link is in the description. And if this video spoke to you, don't just keep your thoughts in your head. Write a comment, even just a few words. It helps you remember these lessons, and it might help someone else too. Hit the like button if you enjoyed this content, and share it with someone who, in your eyes, needs it right now. Just trust your instinct. We're all trying to get clearer, more solid inside. So let's build minds that don't break.